Podcast bros spawned another group of outliers who call themselves passport bros.
What up, though, YouTube? Welcome back. I'd like to thank you for joining the channel, watching, liking, subscribing. Uh, I'm in my second week and I'm already seeing 10,000 views. So, I'd like to send a very special thank you to everybody who's watched and took out the time to like and subscribe to the channel. I want to send a special shout out to everybody out there in Philly. Y'all loving the content. I appreciate you. Everybody out there in New York, LA, Chicago, Atlanta. Shit, we got people all the way out in the Philippines. Man, we about to make this thing a movement, man. So let's get into it. Today we got a woman who is obviously upset that black men, specifically black men from America who grew up in the 80s, all us 80s babies. She mad that, we starting to get our little passports and look for women outside the country. I have a lot of feelings about this. So first I'm gonna let her talk a little bit, explain where she's coming from, and then I'm gonna come in and give my analysis.
I had never heard of this sect of society, but I was introduced to them while listening to a radio show where a caller called in and provided insight. By the way, the show was about black men not voting, but wanting to be heard enters this character. Black women, are you ready? Apparently there's a group of, you guessed it, black men who...
Here we go with the sign language. Y'all boys know. Y'all know what's coming. Y'all know what's coming. It's about to be heavy sign language with a side order of fuck you niggas. Like basically that you could tell just from her tone where this is going. You know what I'm saying? But we gonna let her drown herself, because we already know. We have a good feeling what we about to hear next. But I'm gonna let her go. I'm gonna shut the fuck up for a minute and listen to her bullshit. And then I'm gonna come back firing in all cylinders. Cause to be honest with y'all, like, I'm really getting tired of this shit. But let's continue. One more thing, y'all. Let me know what y'all think about the beats featured on my page. It's a new thing I'm trying out. So let me know in the comments.
have grown weary of the quote control that black women have over them.
The freakiest thing you done did.
I had a threesome with my nigga and he nutted in her and I'm that bitch.
You did what now?
So they've decided to seek dominance elsewhere, and that's in the form of traveling to third world countries to seek a bride. This caller had so much animosity seething out of his side tooth that it was laughable that he actually saw himself as some kind of prize. What's at play here is that these dusty, mediocre at best so-called men have finally come to the realization that black women are no longer willing to settle for the bare minimum and are choosing to stay single and maintain their peace. Let me close by stating that this caller mentioned his godfather, who I'm told died tragically at the hands of the very fate he wished on black women, a man who I refer to as he who shall not be named. My question here is, if divesting to desperate and disenfranchised women is so great, form of traveling to third world countries to seek a bride.
All right, now here we have a simple example of narcissism and stupidity all wrapped up in one. So this woman implies that black men who grew up in America during America's worst drug crisis, by far worse than the opioid epidemic, that these men are purposely flying to the other side of the planet to somehow take advantage of poor people, when, just from my own experience, like, black men in America don't need to travel across the globe to find poor people to take advantage of. Like us 80s babies, if we just was looking for sexual intercourse with a woman without any attachments or relationship, well, we are very well aware that we don't have to go very far to find it. So that's just ridiculous. The idea that any black man would fly all the way to Asia just to find a wife because he expecting to, abuse that woman is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Why? Because black men from America who grew up in the 80s, we know poor women.
This caller had so much animosity seething out of his side tooth that it was laughable that he actually saw himself as some kind of prize. What's at play here is that these dusty, mediocre at best so-called men have finally come to the realization that black women are no longer willing to settle for the bare minimum and are choosing to stay single and maintain their peace. Let me close by stating that this caller mentioned...
First of all, calling a man average at best isn't the same insult it is to a woman. Because men understand that most men are average at best. Men understand that most men are just normal people trying to live out their life in the most pleasant, peaceful, and happy way that they can. It's not really an insult to us. Like, to men, we know everyone isn't going to be a super wealthy athlete or singer or entertainer. We understand this. It's not a problem for us. It's only women who live under this complete misunderstanding about economics and how a society functions and how resources are distributed across a population. It's not our problem. It's your problem.
Mentioned his godfather, who I'm told died tragically at the hands of the very fate he wished on black women, a man who I refer to as he who shall not be named. My question here is, if divesting to desperate and disenfranchised women is so great, why do you all have to make an announcement, a grand announcement? Oh, I know why. Because you actually think that this will hurt black women. Newsflash.
I'm sorry, but the movement of black men traveling around the world to find love has absolutely nothing to do with hurting black women. Just like the movement for Black lives had nothing to do with harming white people. Okay? Just because black men come together and say, we don't like this situation. We don't like what's happening. And instead of continuing to complain about it, which has gotten us absolutely nowhere, we decide that we're going to go out into the world and try to find something that does work for us. I mean, that's it. It has nothing to do with hurting black women. If black women weren't so violently anti-male, then these men wouldn't have to go outside the country to look for women to date. She calling these men dusty. I mean, sure, whatever. If that's how you feel about, average earning men in America, that's fine. But those men often are pretty good people, and they deserve love just like everybody else. And they don't necessarily want to deal with the black women in their communities that have been just as adversely affected by what happened to our community during the crack era. But instead of fixing the things that make them unattractive, they have decided to double down on those issues. And we sick of it, and we ready to move on and, find the women that can help share and improve our lives, period. It's no ifs, ands, or buts. It's nothing else. It's just what it is.
Good Sis says.
Everything I do is for the bitches. I have never done anything for the male gaze. I quite literally cannot stand you.
And see, there's the thing. We know that. We know that. We don't like fake everything. Fake hair, fake nails, fake eyes, fake appendages. We're not into that. We know you're not doing that for us. You don't have to tell us that. We are very aware of that. And so we leave. Why? If you don't want us looking at you, you cannot stand us, you despise us so much, then I don't understand what the problem is with us just leaving y'all alone. Because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about men who just...
Sayonara, arrivederci, adios, and as the Germans say, choose. Let me know what you think in the comments section.
So take the photographs and still frames in your mind, hang it on a shelf.
All right, y'all. I'm done with this bitch. Seriously, I'm done. I'm sick of her voice. I'm sick of her attitude. Now, this part, I'm gonna say this is just for me. I am not suggesting that anyone else do what I am about to say, okay? This is my own personal decision from my own personal experience in my own life, okay? I am done protecting black women. I'm done. I'm not a huge man, but I'm not a little guy either. And I protected quite a few women over the years. Matter of fact, it was so bad back in my younger days, much younger. I'm talking about high school. People used to call me Captain Save. It's been a long time since high school for me, and I have definitely learned better. So yeah, like y'all on your own, y'all keep calling niggas dusty. I'm the same niggas you expect to lay their life on the line to protect you from these predatory white men. It's not. I often wonder, what it is that makes black women believe that they stop suffering the physical molestation of white men because white men just unilaterally decided it was time to stop taking sex from these black girls. So yeah, I'm done. And I would love to see a world where, the black women in America truly lost our protection, and see where that leads them. All right, guys, I think I'm gonna put it to bed here. Before I do, though, I just want to say I am very aware that this woman does not speak for all women, especially not all black women. I know that, and frankly, the passport bros know that too. The problem is that the women we want and are searching for are very hard to find. And if you are not a very attractive and or very wealthy man, then it is nearly impossible to actually find those women, because those women get snatched up very young. Not saying like, any predatory way, but I mean, young as in young adult. Those women get snatched up very young, and usually the men who do marry them are smart enough to understand that they do have a good woman, and they don't let those women go. So, yeah, that's it, man. I'm gonna thank everybody for listening. I'm gonna give a special thank you once again to everyone who took the time out to like, subscribe, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Later.